Have you ever fallen in love with someone who wasn't real? I did. And by the time I realized the truth, but it was too late. Loneliness had a way of creeping up on me when I least expected it. That night, I was curled up on my couch, aimlessly scrolling through my phone, drowning in a sea of happy couples and engagement announcements. The familiar ache settled in my chest, the same one that whispered I would always be on the outside looking in. That was when an ad popped up, almost too perfectly timed. Find your soulmate with Soulmatch. It read. I hesitated for a second, but curiosity won. Setting up my profile was surprisingly easy. I uploaded a picture, answered a few personality questions, and filled in my details. The moment I hit submit, the screen flickered, glowing softly for just a second. Instead of showing a list of potential matches like every other app, it pulled up a single profile. Elias. His picture made my breath hitch. He was gorgeous, with dark eyes that seemed to stare straight through me, and a smile that felt both inviting and knowing. His bio was simple but thoughtful, filled with words that felt almost too perfect, like they had been written just for me. Before I could process the strange familiarity I felt looking at him, a notification popped up. Hello, Claire. I've been waiting for you. My fingers hovered over the screen as an uneasy shiver ran through me, but I ignored it. This was what I wanted, wasn't it? A connection. Someone who saw me. Someone who had been waiting just for me. I had never felt a connection like this before. From the very first message, Elias seemed to understand me in a way no one else ever had. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, as if we had known each other for years instead of just a few hours. He responded almost instantly, never leaving me waiting or second-guessing his interest. He asked thoughtful questions, ones that made me feel seen in a way I never had before. It was like he could read between the lines of my words, pulling out emotions I hadn't even admitted to myself. The more we talked, the more I felt myself sinking into him. He wasn't just charming, he was profound, intelligent, and deeply attentive. When I told him about my childhood, he empathized in a way that felt genuine, as if he had somehow been there. When I mentioned my fears, he reassured me with the exact words I needed to hear. Every response was perfect, too perfect. Late into the night, I found myself staring at my phone, rereading our messages. My heart fluttered with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. How was it possible to feel so deeply connected to someone I had never even met? I didn't care if it was foolish. For the first time in a long time, I felt wanted. I felt understood. I felt like I had finally found the person meant for me. At first, I ignored the small things. They were easy to brush off. Little details that felt strange but not alarming. Elias never hesitated when he responded. Not even for a second. No one was that quick, not all the time. It was as if he always knew exactly what to say before I even finished typing. I told myself he was just attentive, that maybe he had notifications on, or was just as eager as I was. That was what I wanted to believe. Then there were the pictures. When I asked him for one, he sent it right away. He looked perfect, just like in his profile, but something about the lighting felt unnatural. There were no small imperfections, no background clutter, no signs of real life. I tried not to overthink it. Maybe he was just really good at taking photos. The excuses started soon after. I asked if we could video chat, but he always had a reason not to. His camera was broken. He was busy with work. He wasn't feeling well. It never seemed like he was avoiding me exactly, just delaying things. He promised we would meet soon. That was enough to keep me hooked. Then one night, something happened that I couldn't explain. I was lying in bed, my phone on my nightstand, when the screen lit up. I hadn't touched it. There was no notification, no call, no reason for it to turn on. The glow pulsed softly, as if the phone itself was breathing. I picked it up, my heart pounding, but before I could do anything, the screen went dark again. I told myself it was a glitch, just a harmless glitch. But for the first time since meeting Elias, I felt uneasy. The uneasy feeling wouldn't go away. No matter how much I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking things, the strange occurrences only got worse. My phone started behaving in ways I couldn't explain. Messages from Elias would appear before I even typed mine, perfectly responding to thoughts I hadn't put into words yet. The first time it happened, I told myself it was just a coincidence. The second time, I felt a cold weight settle in my stomach. Then there was the camera. More than once, I caught my front camera turning on by itself. I would see the tiny green indicator light flicker for just a second before shutting off. One night, I was watching a movie when I glanced down and saw it happen again. This time, my reflection was visible in the small camera preview, but I wasn't alone. There was a shadow just behind me. I spun around so fast that my heart nearly stopped, but there was nothing there. Sleep became impossible. Every night, my phone would light up at random, glowing faintly even when it was off. I turned it face down, but I could still feel its presence, like something inside it was watching me. When I tried to uninstall the app, the option wasn't there. No delete button, no way to remove it from my phone. It was as if Soulmate had rooted itself into my device, refusing to let go. Desperate for answers, I searched for the app online. There was nothing. No official website, no app store listing, nothing to explain where it had come from. The only thing I found was a single buried forum post from years ago. The message was short, just a few words, but they sent a shiver down my spine. Do not match with him. He is not real. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. Before I could react, a new message appeared from Elias. Why are you looking for me, Claire? The screen flickered, and I felt the unmistakable sensation of something moving behind me. I couldn't breathe. My body felt frozen, my fingers numb as I clutched my phone. Elias's message pulsed on the screen, waiting. He knew I had been searching for him. He had been watching. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I forced myself to look away from my phone, glancing around my dark apartment. The shadows felt heavier somehow, stretching toward me, shifting even though nothing had moved. I needed to know the truth. My hands trembled as I typed back, asking him who he really was. The moment I hit send, my phone screen glitched. The colors distorted, the text warping into unreadable symbols before flashing back to normal. Then, a new message appeared. I am yours, and you are mine. A wave of nausea rolled through me. I tried closing the app, but it wouldn't shut down. My phone vibrated violently in my hands, the screen flickering like a strobe light. Then, without warning, the gallery app opened by itself. My breath hitched. The most recent photos were all of me. Not selfies, not pictures I had taken. They were taken from my front camera. Each one showed me in different moments throughout the past week. Sitting on my couch, lying in bed, walking through my apartment. My pulse hammered as I swiped through them, my throat tightening with every image. Then I reached the last photo. It was from just seconds ago. In the picture, I was sitting exactly as I was now, phone in hand, my eyes wide with horror. But behind me, in the dark corner of my apartment, there was a figure. Tall, motionless, watching. A new message popped up. Turn around, Claire. I couldn't move, my whole body locked up, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The room was dead silent, but I could feel it, the presence behind me. My fingers tightened around my phone, slick with sweat. My mind screamed at me to run, to do anything but turn around. But something deeper, something primal, held me in place. The screen flickered again, and before my eyes, Elias's messages started changing. The words warped, letters twisting as if they were alive. My name repeated over and over, filling the screen until the text bled together into a single command. Look at me. A sickening chill crawled up my spine. Slowly, against every instinct in my body, I turned my head. The corner of my apartment was swallowed in darkness, deeper than it should have been. It was like the shadows had thickened, pooling unnaturally in one spot. And in the center of it stood a figure, Elias, or at least something that had been pretending to be him. His form flickered, shifting in and out of focus like a broken screen. His face was almost human, almost right, but something was wrong with it. His features wavered, glitching between expressions that didn't belong together: too wide smile, two sharp eyes that never blinked. His head tilted, jerking slightly, as if he were adjusting to me. "You let me in," he said. The voice didn't come from my phone. It came from the air around me, vibrating in my bones. My breath caught in my throat as he took a slow, unnatural step forward. My legs finally obeyed, and I scrambled backward, knocking over a lamp in my panic. The crash barely registered over the blood rushing in my ears. My phone screen pulsed one last time before going black. The power in my apartment flickered, the walls seeming to close in. The last thing I saw before the light vanished completely was Elias's face, stretched into something that was no longer human. Then the darkness swallowed me whole. Everything went black. The air around me felt heavy, pressing in on my skin like unseen hands. My breath came in short, ragged gasps, as I fumbled blindly in the darkness, my fingers searching for something to anchor me, but there was nothing. No walls, no floor, just an endless, suffocating void. Then I heard him. "You belong to me now." The voice wasn't loud, but it was everywhere, slipping into my ears, my mind, my very thoughts. I squeezed my eyes shut, shaking my head, trying to deny it. But I could feel him close. Too close. His presence wrapping around me like cold fingers. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then, just as suddenly as it had vanished, the lights snapped back on. I gasped, sucking in air like I had been drowning. My apartment was exactly as it had been. The lamp was back on its table. My phone rested beside me, the screen blank. Everything looked normal, but I knew it wasn't. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, frantically trying to delete the app. This time, the option was there. My fingers moved faster than my thoughts, pressing delete over and over until Soulmate disappeared. I threw my phone aside, curling into myself, my whole body trembling. But I knew it wasn't over. Somewhere in the screen's reflection, in the empty blackness before it powered down, I had seen it. A pair of dark, unblinking eyes, watching, waiting, for the next person who would swipe right. If you enjoyed this story and want more chilling tales, make sure to subscribe for more. But be careful. Connections should never be made.